you're ready.
Happy for our seniors and our players. They've overcome a lot. Tough situation to keep fighting and doing the things they had to do. Very proud of them. Very proud for our fans. And we got to have a great game here, and very proud for these seniors to go out their last game ever in Kyle Field in a big win and a big situation. So guys did a really nice job in all three phases. I thought special teams, we did a good job. We kicked the ball well, returned it well. Coddick did the things we had to do. Defensively, I thought we did a nice job. They got some yards and got some things going early, but we bent and kept them to a couple field goals. Got that big critical turnover in the second half. It got touchdowns. Offensively, we controlled the line of scrimmage, and we're really efficient on the night. Stayed out of negative plays, stayed ahead of the chains. The chain was awesome. I mean, just absolutely awesome. Mari ran the ball well when he got in there. 22, we'd put him in there too, but chain was so hot. Thought our receivers, Moose made two big catches. Made one of them with one arm because they were holding the other, and did that. But, he made some nice plays in the game, really big plays, too, that got us down for that third score and got us up. Connor, I thought, made the throws, managed the game, understood where we went checks, made really smart plays on the night, and had couple big scrambles that really helped us. And guard our offensive line, I thought, and our tight ends did a really nice job in the game, our fullbacks blocking, and we executed. And that's the match. What happens when you execute? You move the ball up and down the field. In defense, we got critical stops and played a really good football game. It's a really good team.
Start with the left, third row, Mark, then to the right, Brent.
Jimbo, I'm going to ask the question the whole country's asking. Where's that been all year?
Well, that's what I was saying. It's young guys and growing and developing, and it's there. It's what I said. It's going to be there. And there's nothing wrong with what we're doing. It's how we got to do it and how we got to get the maturity out of them and what happens and execute what we got. And our kids just relaxed and played, and they grew up and they matured. And there's a lot of, like I say, injuries and young guys all year. It's not an excuse, but that's the facts of life. And you see it. They could do it in streaks, couldn't do it at whole times. And then this game, we finally put it together for 60 minutes and played a really good game. That's simple, period.
Third row on the right, Brent, and then to the left.
What does that say about A-Chain? The fact that he returned from the injury when maybe he could have just said he was not going to finish it out.
I told you he wasn't.
Right.
You didn't believe me. You guys sitting here wouldn't believe us. That these guys, you guys trying to make the players say they were going to quit and do everything else. They wouldn't do it, and I said they weren't. You questioned everything they did on that. All you all did. And that team was very tight together, and it shows the character and who he is and what he is.
What does that say? What does that say about him to come out?
What
there
I just said, it says a lot. He's a tremendous human being and a tremendous player and a tremendous leader and a tremendous competitor. He has nothing but heart and toughness about him and everything he does.
To the left, Olin.
Jimbo, did y'all approach this as, hey, this is settled, like this is our bowl game, and did it feel like a bowl game?
No.
Okay, and secondly, y'all came out of the start of the second half and
Misexecuted two plays.
I wanted to ask what was different. That was kind of like the situation with Florida. What was different this time?
We just misexecuted plays. It was there, and we just threw it, got to get our head around and threw a ball behind, and didn't stay on the read on third down. That was that simple. The plays were there.
Down front, Travis, and then to the left, Alex.
2 SEC wins this year, and Damani Richardson had made a key play in both of them. What is it about him that he finds himself in those positions?
Damani's played a lot of ball. He's a very veteran player. He's been around a long time. He knows how to win. He's a great leader, and he's going to play no matter what, and he's going to hopefully have a nice career at the next level.
And how important was it for each one of the guys to have Connor, Devon, and Evan all out there at the same time? I think it's only the second time this year that all three have been on the field at the same time.
Not very often. Like I say, the injuries and the things, and then get Moose in there and playing, and Noah Thomas and the tight ends and our line. It was good. I mean, like I say, we still haven't had our full team, but that's ball. Sometimes you have those years. You got to learn to overcome it. That's why you got to build depth and keep executing.
Second row on the left, Alex.
I got a couple on Devon. Just when push came to shove, you guys went with the run game. What were you seeing from LSU's defense that you wanted to keep running the ball?
Listen, they have great loose down players. They're great pass rush guys. They're great guys that can rush and things, and you don't want to get in situations to let them do that. And we thought schemes in which we had, and we could get hats on hats, and our guys did a great job of blocking them.
And just as Devon maybe looms his future, what has he just meant to this offense the last few years?
Well, he's a very versatile guy. That's his greatness. It's his speed, but it's his natural instincts to play the game, and there's a versatility to block, to run, to catch it down the field, to return. I mean, he can do everything on a football field, and he's a tremendous and very humble human being, amazingly humble.
Front right, Cole.
Jimbo, for Connor to have the night that he had against this defense, how does that help him better himself going into the offseason?
Well, you learn how to win. You learn how to win. You learn how to manage a game. Sometimes manage a game throwing for 400 yards. Sometimes it's throwing for 150 and being highly efficient and throwing touchdowns and being great on third down and doing the things you got to do. And numbers don't dictate wins. situations dictate wins, and knowing how to play and how to win and how to grow as a quarterback. And he's doing it. He's a very intelligent young man.
And then when you look at Moose Muhammad's growth and maturity, where has he really stood out, especially over the last couple of weeks?
Well, I think he has Moose has tremendous ball skills. He's a strong-bodied, very sure-handed guy. Makes contested catches and uses his body very well. Can stick his foot in the ground. Can separate. And he has a tremendous future ahead of him. I mean, a tremendous future ahead of him.
And then are you going to have cornflakes later?
Huh?
You're going to have cornflakes later?
No.
Fourth
I don't
row
know
on the
what that was
left.
about. But
Yeah, Coach. Just wondering.
used to him as a kid. Don't eat him no more.
Yeah, Coach. Just wondering from a momentum standpoint, how big is it to have a win like this heading into the offseason?
I think it's good for your confidence and what goes on, and this shows you what you're capable of. But it also show you could be, those are things you got to grow to, and that's part of growing up to getting to winning and learning how to do that. And our kids had to fight through that and learning. They played in stretches during the year, but and you got to learn. It's not just your ability, but your mental toughness to compete in games, and that's what I think they continually grew on.
On the right aisle, Justin.
Jimbo, it's 17-17. They get the ball back, seem to have all the momentum. Then you force the fumble, but then your offense builds off of the turnover and goes and scores. You haven't been able to do that a lot this year, so what's it say about the team's growth?
Well, that's what I said. We finally played off each other. Like even when we used to punt the ball back, we'd move it to midfield, punt them in and out to 10. We weren't getting stops all year. We were getting the ball back down here and getting balls out. We played to each other. With the defense, the first half, we scored 3 straight drives. We come out, we go 3 and out, we execute 2 plays and get it, and then we miss another play. Miss a block on the second series and get it again. Then they get to turn over, and then we go right back to pounding and getting their confidence. And it was just a matter of execution, back to relaxing and executing plays. And it's that simple. I mean, there's no magical formula. It's continuing to not get bored and do your job each and every play and not look too much into something.
For you as a play caller, when you go tempo, I guess there's probably less pre-snap motion, but what's your philosophy on pre-snap motion? What does that help Wigman do?
You can motion and pre-snap. Listen, tempo, we're so caught up in tempo. Name me a tempo team that's won a national championship. Call one. There ain't one. There ain't one in the last 15 years. So y'all aren't caught up in tempo. Tempo ain't won a national championship. All right? So teams that line up and play good football. You can run tempo, and you can have parts of it, and you can use tempo off and on, but pure tempo teams haven't won one. So we can say that all we want. Okay? You can run tempo. You can not run tempo. It depends on what your game plan is. You have to not do for your team to win that game. Sometimes it's tempo, sometimes it's not tempo.
To the left, Sam.
Hey, Jimbo, a couple things. One, how do you reconcile the promise that you see with how many young guys are out there making plays on the field tonight with the missed opportunities that you've had throughout this season?
It's ball. That's called, when you got kids,
Yes, 2.
you'll understand. How old?
7 and 2.
All right? When they're 12 and 13, see if they're doing what they're doing when they're 7 and 2. That's what it gets down to, and you got to help coach them, and you got to lead them, and you got to show them, and they got to learn how to get over that hump. And that's disappointing. As coaches, that's our job, no matter what it is, no matter what that circumstance is. If we had some older guys stayed healthy, maybe it changes, but we didn't, and that's our fight. That's as coaches. That's the situation you're in. That's as a coach, you have to do that. And it's about learning how to win, learning how to stay mature, learning how to focus for the whole time, and learning that there's not a secret to this. There's nothing fabulous about this. Just go do your job. Run your route, make your block, fit your run, do your things you got to do, and play. There's no magical formula. But there's no substitute for maturity and age and development. And you got to grow through that. And it just shows them. And listen, they haven't. And when we showed them on film all year, those things, yes, sir, and they bought right in. And we haven't. Listen, they don't do it on purpose. I know that. We go back and coach the heck out of them on that week. The whole year, they have practiced hard, done hard. We ain't played well in that coaching. We got to do a better job coaching them in that. But at the same time, now they can start to see where that comes from, and that's part of growth. And hopefully we can build on that in the future. We'll see. We'll find out.
And what does your next few days look like in terms of kind of what's on your plate in terms
We'll
of
get our team
evaluation?
together and give them a criteria for what we're doing in December, the lifting, the classes, all that type of stuff, and we'll get the recruiting trail going.
Go back behind the lights to Darryl on the left, and then Ben on the right.
Coach, I have 2 questions for you. First, in the first half, I think 3 possessions, 17 points. That's where you wanted it all year long. I mean, taking advantage of the ball.
I take more possessions.
But pretty much making the most of the possessions that you had in the first half.
That's what you want all the time, yes.
My second question to you is on Devon, the fact that I think he needed 113 to get to 1,000, and he surpassed that and then some.
I didn't even know that.
Just on him becoming a 1,000-yard rusher.
That's a criteria and a mark, but, he could be a 2,000-yard rusher. He's capable of doing that too. He's a capable guy, catches, and he's one of my favorite guys to coach because he gets ball. He's a natural player, but he's so smart, so instinctive, and you can tell him something one time, and he just naturally does it.
Back behind the lights to the right, Ben.
Coach, just a couple questions about the O-line. Any particular aspect of their run blocking you thought pleased you the most? Just push, angles, anything particular stood out to you?
We ran zone gap schemes. They were blocking down the gaps, and they were hitting the zones, and we weren't getting penetration, and we were getting hats to hats and getting it declared. And our tight ends, too. Our tight ends and fullbacks did a really nice job in that, too. But
And then-
they all did a really nice job.
Given how well y'all were able to run the ball, how much do you think that affected their ability, or your ability, I should say, to limit their pass rush and not have some of
Well,
those
that's
guys
huge.
get
That's the whole thing. You can't get in long downs. They're a great loose down team in that regard. And not that they didn't play the run well, but you got in loose downs, man. They were hard to handle. They had a lot of guys who could rush and play, and you had to make them take on. Not that they couldn't. I'm not saying that at all. But you were better off trying to do that, and we were able to run it, and then we keep and working the clock in the right down and distance situations.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time. We'll get
Thank
the
you.
players.